You know, many people go through rough spots and challenges in their marriage, and some people deal with it differently. You know, you may have someone say, well, we're not happy anymore, so let's just end it. But is divorce the best answer for a difficult marriage?
I'm not supposed to divorce in my religion.
Especially if there are children involved, you kind of want to try to work it out. But sometimes you have to kind of come to terms with the fact that it's just not going to work.
There's about a 37% reduction in standard of living across the board for all people who get divorced. And child support is not enough to negate that 37% reduction. But people who are getting divorced do not understand that. They actually think they're going to have more money if they get divorced. There are many, many, many women who file for divorce who think they're going to have more money if they get divorced. Divorce is a leading cause of poverty for women and children.
If it's not compatible, it's so hard to sit there and, you know, it's like you're being tormented, you know. So I think divorce is the only way.
Let's say the husband has a pension plan. Well, the wife's pension benefits, if she is awarded them, will be half of what's earned during the marriage. Say it's a 5-year marriage. That's like a 2.5-year pension. Say it's a 10-year marriage. That's like a 5-year pension. Married couples, when they retire, generally have 2.5 times more wealth than a single person when they retire. 2.5 times more wealth.
I would say at least try to work through it for maybe a year.
I think divorce is okay, I guess.
Maybe not a year. That's a long time.
The typical man who gets divorced goes to work and works hard. He doesn't pay enough attention to his wife and she becomes unhappy. They grow apart. When he gets divorced, he's paying child support and the court will award him alternate weekends with his children. So he goes from seeing them every day to seeing them 4 days a month. The children will perceive him as somebody who walked out. Over time, when you see someone only 4 days a month, your bond and your connection with them changes. They become someone you visit with, not someone you parent, not someone with whom you really share your day-to-day experiences and what's going on, and you can really guide a person like that. Instead, you look for things like, let's go to the game, let's go to the circus, let's go to McDonald's. It becomes an artificial relationship. Child support can be up to half of a man's paycheck. So they are going to spend a lot of money. They have very little time with their child. And after a while, there is a resentment that kind of builds up.
In the beginning of our marriage, we faced trials, and you're two different people. And you have to learn how to grow up in a marriage.
You should definitely seek other help and try to work it out before you get a divorce.
I would try to talk to the person.
Talk to each other and try to resolve it and pray.
If that fails, then I have to move on to professional help.
There's tons of different options. You can go to group meetings, counseling.
You know, we spend a lot of time on our job. We want to get promotions. We want to get good reports from our supervisors. We want to have the respect of our colleagues and so forth. And then we go home and we want to sit on the couch and we don't want to invest in the relationship. But as they say, no pain, no gain. If you go to the gym and you're lazy on the machines, you're not going to build any muscles. And if you're in a relationship and you don't exercise that relationship, you aren't going to develop a strong relationship. 70% of divorces are a result of lack of communication skills, too much arguing, a feeling that you don't share common interests anymore, or, quote, we've grown apart.
One of the big mistakes I see couples of all ages making is that when they're having some sort of disagreement or relationship problem, they spend what seems to be a lifetime trying to convince the other person that that person is wrong. And of course both people are doing this, and so what happens is it becomes like a blaming game and nothing ever changes and the relationship starts to go downhill. But the good news is that you really don't have to wait for your spouse to change, that one person can change the relationship single-handedly. One of the mistakes that people make is that when there's a problem, they do something to fix it, and if it works, that's great. But if it doesn't work, instead of saying to themselves, you know what, that didn't work, I need to be creative and try something completely different, what they generally say is, that didn't work, uh-oh, I better do it again, only this time I'm going to do it a little bit harder, a little bit with more feeling. And if you continue to do what hasn't been working, you're going to continue to get bad results. In fact, the results are even going to get worse.
I had a couple call in and say, we're headed for divorce court and this is our last resort. And if we're coming to this conference and we don't find helpful information, then it's over for us. I was like, my God, this is some heavy pressure here. So they came to the conference and I watched them the entire day and just saw a light come on in their eyes that said, okay, we can do this. We can make this work. And what I have found is that, yes, most marriages are in trouble, but what most marriages need is just help in the right direction. Guidance and direction to help them know that a happy, successful marriage is within their reach.